All right, this is going to be all digital READview this time. I think you get better up close look at different things, and the old camera and old technologies aren't working for me right now. I got to wait till I get something different before I can do anything else. So there's that. All right, so here's Aliens versus Avengers, or Ava. I got a niece that's named that. That's how she spells it too. But Aliens versus Avengers. You know, Marvel has all these properties now. They just kind of smash them together, like we were when we were 10-year-old kids. You know, taking our action figures, making them fight. Well, here we have Aliens versus Avengers. I just said that. Okay. Yeah. This is a painting that you saw at Ribic and Jonathan Hickman. That's why I bought it, because it was Hickman's story. So no, it's not just totally childish thing going on. But I'm pretty sure he put some thought into this. You know, he writes for the trade for the big overarching tale. It's probably pretty good. And they use vague pieces of all the lore, put them together. One good narrative. So we have mostly the vague pieces from the Alien franchise. So you see this? This is those cave paintings and markings that point people towards the engineer star system. You remember that from Prometheus. Turns out they're pointing at this structure here. And we go inside here. This structure to see unknown aliens. I guess they're the Shi'ar. Are experimenting on a Kree. They don't get along very well. Here's these Shi'ar folks experimenting on the Kree. Seeing they obviously, you can see down here the face hugger. It's been on this person, but he's dead. They're just kind of pulling them off. They're kind of grody, kind of disgusting people, right? But then, boom, some enemy frigates arrive. It's actually Wakandan spaceships start assaulting the main asteroid here. And these guys are worried, etc., but not worried. Here comes the Wakandans come in, the strike force, the guys in the white outfits. I don't know if you've seen the white outfit Wakandans. But they're a thing. I remember back from his Avengers run, special elite ops infiltration force. But here comes the guys in black armor, T'Challa. I think it's his son, okay? Yeah, because he calls him my father, so yeah, it's totally it. So anyways, they're infiltrating this place, and then there's some aliens here, and they dispatch them pretty easily. They developed some technology to smoke these xenomorphs, no problem. You know, I like how they dialed in the xenomorph anatomy here. This here, look, they're humanoid, but they settled on a design, final design for them. It's cool. So one thing about Esad Ribic, the artist here, is he's able to do depth real good. Like if you had just the only ink lines on here, this would just, I don't know what this would look like, but see how he has depth. You got the background technology, and then the foreground xenomorphs jumping at you. Right? One of the things he does is he overlays like a gradient or something on top here. People would call it color hold, I guess, on top. I know how I do some of these things. I can't say for sure whether this color artist does the same thing, but do like a screen layer on top with like a soft brush or whatever, and you can make these, or like a smoke brush, and you can make these little gradients on top, make everything diffuse into the background. Or you can just select the whole thing and drop a gray on top of your ink lines, and it makes them look pushed back because they're lighter in color. But we get a lot of depth out of this stuff. There's a shot back here. I mean, look at that. You know, this is a normal piece of paper like me and you would hold in our hand, but you can see there's depth to this artwork. It's all the way back, and it's all great perspective. And I've always liked the way he does technology. Always been my favorite thing. So anyway, here's the Wakandans capture these two Shi'ar guys, but you and I know that when they got that white junk coming out of their eyeballs for blood and stuff, that they're totally an android, right? They're synthetic. and they find out Earth was one of the places these guys were seeding. So these are synthetics a la David. I guess all synthetics now hate humans, so they want to kill all of them. They're trying to erase life from the galaxy at large. So they're, in that sense, like working as an extension of the engineers, or David. I don't know. I forget how the lore goes here, but here he is. He's just an android. He gets his head chopped off. You know, yay. But the Wakandans are now hip to the whole scheme, and they're wondering what they're going to do now. Huh? It's all about survival, right? Here's a splash page. See that? Cool. You could probably just trace the foreground, but in the back he puts like a ship docked, other geometric structures in the back. Pretty cool. Okay, there's a Tokyo or someplace like that. I got France. And then you got this cool helicopter shooting them off the building sides. All right. Apparently it doesn't work. Earth falls. This is Attila. The Attillans here. The Inhumans fall. There's Black Bolt not being able to fight back. Okay, here's Atlantis falling. More Wakandan technology coming against the Xenomorph horde. You got Xenos here. See them right here? They're kind of little snorkeling tubes that got in the back. I guess it helps them swim in water. Okay, it's got a purpose. Looks like the world tree, or like old Groot or something, getting burned up here. What's going on there? But Apocalypse is not going to surrender. Here's a cool little shot of Apocalypse here. Some kind of sword. Kind of an awkward slash. Okay, maybe it's the backhand. We'll just get like a moment in time frozen here. I like how you saw Ribic does. I just got some good a moment frozen time action shots like this. I think his head's too big. This is actually Tony Stark. Guy in the wheelchair. It's Tony Stark. This is Weyland-Yutani Tower, which is kind of weird. Does it show it on the outside again? Anyways, this is, I guess, Earth has built up some kind of tower of resistance where no Xenomorphs are able to go to. This old chick right here, this is Captain Marvel, or later on in years here. And this is the old guy she's talking to. We don't know who he is. Then all of a sudden they get this message like, hey, something going on, we got to go rescue. And you realize the guy's got hops. Who is this guy? Well, it's actually, he's the Hulk, right? Old Bruce Banner can still Hulk out. We have Miles Morales in the future. He's probably in, but he draws him like he's a really thin, like late 30s, early 40s guy. You see his face later on, but here's Hulk touching down. A couple of cool things about this little tale here. She's all old. Bruce Banner, the Hulk is pretty buff. She's gonna try and cure the infestation by messing with the egg somehow. She's gonna experiment with the eggs. But if you've seen an Alien movie, you kind of know how this is gonna go, right? You know, so I like how they have the Weyland-Yutani symbol is the window shape. I think it's kind of cool. There's a pretty good shot of it in a couple minutes here. You can see through like it's a window. There you go, right there. See that? That's pretty cool. You can see inside. Good idea. Good concept. Yay. A+. Alright, HVAC friend. I'm probably going to try and figure out what's wrong with this one. Okay. I just want you to notice the Hulk's physique right here. Okay, it's kind of off the chain here, man. Look at this guy. Very good anatomic study here. See that guy? Look at that arm. Just the dialed in detail and the musculature. There's this bodybuilder named Jay Cutler, and I feel like I've seen, he looks like Jay Cutler as a model, all right? Look at this anatomy here. Look at that tricep. I feel like I've seen a couple of videos on Jay Cutler working out or posing, and I think that's what his arm looks like. You just got to make the hand a little bit bigger for Hulk, all right? What's cool is what you don't know about Miles Morales is that he's actually been wearing the Venom symbiote. For some reason, his suit is white, and because he controls Venom, though, Venom makes his suit black. And so when he's down here, he gets the face hugger, jumps on, like, oh no. But what you don't know is it's the Venom symbiote goes over there and it encapsulates the face hugger, saving Miles Morales' life. Then the Venom, they have an envenomized, what do they call it? A venomized face hugger that then jumps on Miles Morales and becomes the emblem on his suit. Kind of a trip, huh? Well, that's a really cool idea. It does serve a purpose later on. Okay. So Miles Morales is now, he has like that anti-venom look. I think there's a white symbiote. It's called anti-venom. But now he looks like that person now. Okay, that's kind of cool. Look at that. It was kind of like angular looking like this with joints and everything, but then they simplified the design on the costume so the artist wouldn't have to draw it all funky every single time. Okay. It's basically one, but just like the incredible, this artwork I think is on point here. You get a real, it almost makes you have wheezes yourself because it feels like there's all this particulate floating around in the air because of a couple reasons here. I think the artist uses a lot of, I think he leaves pencil in with his inks, right? This is my theory about Esad, Ribic, and his artwork here. Look at this picture here. Okay, you'll notice some distinct like number one. Okay, first of all, you notice like his micron marker ink lines, right? Black, defined, very good. And then you have what I believe is pencil lines that he leaves in there, right? And submits that with his inks too. Like, I think there's not a lot of process work or on the internet as far as Esad Ribic and what he does. I think I've seen a couple of videos that are really short, but I know Photoshop is part of his process. He'll do the line art, scan it into Photoshop and put gradients and different things in there for his work. And I think he's doing a lot of this texture on his own. So guess mine. I think he is including pencil lines with the inks here to have that kind of half-tone shading right there. Like, these look like art lines. I don't know if I go through the trouble of doing all this with ink and then trying to select it all and color it gray, you know. I'm pretty sure this is pencil art, right? This is a cool shot here because if you zoom out, it looks like the farther you zoom out, the more it looks like a real, like, very realistic, or photoreal almost, because he's done a lot with the shadows and the light. So first of all, you have this very bright light that's coming in from his left, our right, and it starts off like a kind of light gray, and then there's actually white he's using to show that's how bright the light is. Okay, and it's casting the rest of his face in this this medium shadow here. You'll see this right here in his cheek, shadow. This is like medium shadow. Then he has a secondary light coming up from the bottom, which is what this shadow's color is actually, and it's casting a shadow up on all the top ridges of his nose, his forehead, his brow, etc. See that? Two different light sources coming in here. All right. So this part of his armor, his wheelchair. I'm sorry, did I say that right? Did I spoil that already? Is in shadow, and right here it's in light. Heavy duty light coming from the side, and the rest is in shadow, right? There's another thing I think that's happening here. This is just a theory. Look down here. See on this wall, there's like a texture here on this wall. Okay. I do think at some point he puts like a white texture on some stuff. I also think at some point he takes his Esad Ribic signature multi-directional, you know, patch hatch, I guess you could call it, and he's taking a scan of it and he's just kind of overlaying and using it as needed in the Photoshop process before he even sends it to the color. That's my theory, the colorist. See, like there's this texture right here in the darkness in the background. I think all this is all. I think that's an overlay texture he puts on top of it. You can see maybe some of it here on the guy's arm. Not sure exactly how he does all that. I'm just making a theory here. I think he does have a white hand-drawn texture, light gray or something he puts on top though. I don't think these are all pencil lines here. I think these pencil lines are right here in the armpit. Right, this could be pencil lines here. I don't think those are ink lines. I think these are ink here. A lot of comic artists do this. They cordon off their shadows and put these hatch lines on the outside. You can see that's pretty well done with like a ink pen, a technical pen. But then here we have like these lighter weight gray lines that are hatched in here. Then we have like a texture on the inside too. I think that's on a different layer and the opacity is turned down and hit multiply, or it's just texture is overlaid on here. It seems to go with stuff like fit the arm. See, if you did this like in the background over here though, this looks definitely to me like a texture he's laid down or someone put down there on top, and just you can cut out of it. You can do a clipping mask on top, and then you can cut out with the pen tool. So things I think that are actual ink, pencil lines, these dark areas right here, ink lines, ink outline here. But then I think there's a secondary texture overlay on top of everything. You can cut out here, cut that out. You can cut this out, and cut out where you don't need it, so you can bring out those highlights. It's like another way of lighting your subject there. Yeah, so there's even look on her nose here. This is coming from somewhere. All you need to do is to cut out of it. I don't know. This is just my theory. Could be wrong. If I had to duplicate this, that's what I would try, something like that. If I was a dude, I wouldn't take all this time to like manually gradient all this stuff every single panel. Yeah, I can do one sheet of it and then adjust the levels, adjust the contrast or whatever, and then just put it as a texture overlay on all this stuff, and then you got it going on. If you use digital tools, use digital tools. This could be hand, this stuff with the Hulk here. This could be all hand penciled in texture on the interior here. Very well could be. I feel like it goes with the body lines here. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too much about this, but you know, when you also draw a comic, so I was looking for ways to make things look cool. I wish I could make it look cool like this. Issue 2, we left on that cliffhanger. Miles Morales does not get tore up with what do you call it? The symbiote on his face, the parasite. Actually, since Venom is a parasite, the parasite negates the parasite, or a symbiote beats parasite. I guess that's what they're at. Look at this. Okay, so this is more than just pencil art. There's almost like an impasto layer on everything. You just you put the values down on top of it. He may have just actually painted that. Somebody like took. That looks like a lot of work. Look at this. Or you could have like one of these digital art programs where you a rake tool. I think Corel Painter has a rake tool that can make this kind of textury lines, and it looks realistic. You take it on your paint layer and you can rake on top of it. Okay, so those lines are here from somewhere, and but then right here just seems like a border, right where it ends. Then here I feel like this is like a, you know, the aforementioned PNG or JPEG on overlay mode underneath that, producing that kind of shading and texture. Anyways, it It computes out to a very original look for you. Look at this highlighting here. Normally, a colorist wouldn't take this much liberty. So I don't know who did that, but that's on top of the lines, it looked like to me. Artists don't like that, from what I hear at least. And then there's this texture that's obviously overlaid on top of everything to give it like a grungy, dismal, dark feel, because everything is a dystopia nowadays. Right? All right, so then we have the appearance of a David type person. Remember the Prometheus guy? They're out to also destroy life, right? These aren't engineers, these are a bunch of bald people, white skin. But there's not just one David, there's many Davids. Just like those Shi'ar guys were all the same thing. It's almost like you have androids trying to kill all life and humanity. They're makers. Then you have the original creators, the engineers, then also trying to wipe out life. And so they drop these on. There's like a scene from the movie. This is a different universe, I'm thinking, than the movie actually took place in. Okay, that was my. They made that pretty clear because there was a 3 Davids. You know, it's in the future compared to Earth. All right, so there he goes. There, David, fake David, fake vid. There you go. Another example of my theory. Overlay textures that he or she, whoever is doing the colors, or Mr. Ribic himself, just thought the flip mask you can cut out. Go to the next layer, you can flip mask on top of that. You got your depth going on. These lines are pretty dark in front and then light or overdrawn in the back. This could be the color artist or Esad Ribic himself making these light ones in the background. See how it's dark on top and then the gradient gets lighter and lighter as it goes down to the base. That's a good way to sell the uplighting of a city. And then these dashes are meant to represent light. So that's like this kind of an impressionism stuck on top of this rigid or really aesthetically pleasing line art. See, if you go back, see how far away you get. Like, oh, look at that futuristic city and those lights. Okay, then you go in there, if you zoom in real close, like, that's a bunch of dashes. I can do that. I can do that. I'm gonna steal that. All right. In many ways, the Davids are all ticked off. They want to kill the whole world, right? And they're gonna go cleanse some universes. Scary. This is a flashback where a David, one of those David-looking people, came to Tony Stark, who's in the wheelchair, tried to get him to sign over his empire, etc. And then Tony Stark's not like an old sap, right? So he's strategic. But anyways, the guy attacks him, knocks over his chair. But Stark's prepared, of course. Look at nanotech or whatever. See his hand right there. Nanotech, come to me. Then next thing you know, he's charging up his repulsor blast. And he whoops up on the David guy after he tells him all his what do you call it? His plans. You know how bad guys monologue? Well, this guy does it here. Alright, speaking of lighting and texture, let's look at this picture here. Okay, so you have your definite micron ink pen lines here. Then you have what appears to me to be a pencil shading section in the middle. And then even more so, this right here, overlaid texture or whatever on there. So that's just my theory. I'm just going to keep talking about it because what else is there to talk about? Except the cool tech. Cool tech. I mean, look at this. Look at this depth. Look at this environment. Who thinks of this stuff? Not me. See, Miles Morales is a little older than we used to see him. He's not the young man anymore. Guess no one is. Believe it or not, this is Carol Danvers. Okay. Okay, so we find out that Tony Stark, of course, has been thinking way far ahead. The entire city they're living in is actually a ship in the ground that he can launch and take off. And they have a bunch of survivors and people on in the ship that's going to survive and extend humanity. They're going to try and find them a habitable world. Okay. Now, if you follow Esad Ribic in his artwork, this thing right here, this kind of this is multi-directional patch hatching. Is kind of his thing. I think this is how he blends from black into gray without having to draw everything in between. So you can insert that anywhere. That's just kind of his thing. I expect that, right? But then this, you see this texture on this tree. To me, that was overlaid on top. Okay, then you can just cut out right here, give it that cool texture. They would take off and they realize not everybody's there. In fact, here comes old Captain America. Steve Rogers, look at him all beat up. He's leading some freedom fighters away from the infestation, but they, of course, are going to get overrun by all these xenomorphs. And only he's going to stay behind to fight them. This makes the Incredible Hulk feel bad, and he goes and he jumps into the fray to fight alongside him. But Tony Stark decides they have to take off. Look at this anatomy. Look at that Jay Cutler pose. So they take off, and they're fine with their fate. So here's what's left. It's a bunch of people, and then you got Tony Stark, who's crying, Carol Danvers, and then Miles Morales. That's like our heroes. I think they're going to end up going to Mars, because that's where the mutants took off to. Alright, so here's that five-pointed star area from all the cave paintings, and a dual-decker engineer ship shows up. Also overlaid with a nice little photo texture of someone's hand hatching. Okay. Actually, I figured I'd point that out to you. Yeah, I'm evaluating it the same way. I think you've got your micron lines. I think you got like a blue pencil layer here. Some other lines. Then you have like your texture that you can cut out of negative space-wise, creating shadow and light very easily. Title card. Aliens vs. Avengers, number 3. Here's Miles Morales. He's like shooting venom on a guy's face. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's not just webs. Here's that cool shot again. And the Davids, they're like, we're dropping all the stuff on these people. But then here's these engineers are watching this. They run over there, they suit up, they get in their elephant head suits, and they show up afterwards and, hey, you Davids, are you killing people? And they whoop up on the Davids. And do not ask me what any of this means, because I have no clue. Okay, so watch this. All I can say is, all right, these engineers beat up these guys. Are these people from the planet? Could be. Hey, they're dropping black goo everywhere. Suit up. Okay, let's get our elephant suits on. Maybe what I said earlier about them not being Avengers was wrong. Okay, or they have engineers. They have the engineer suits. They go, oop. They run after them. They go after the Davids. They beat up the Davids. They look up, and here's engineer ship number 2 coming in. And I don't know what that cylinder thing is. I have no clue what that is. Is it dumping garbage or something? It's like a dumpster. These are those other guys. I don't know. These guys are looking up like they don't know that's supposed to be there. All right, here's a Mars. This is the city ship. We land on Mars, hoping to find some mutant help. But I think he doesn't do a variable line width a lot like I'm used to, or like a hard outline. Like, so for example, Carol would have a hard outline around her. Let's say you use like a 5.0 or a 3, the number 3 or number 5. The Miles gets the 3 or the 2, right? And then everything else in here is a 1 or a 0.05, you know, just to give it some depth. Farther back, smaller the line width. He doesn't do that as much as he does just use digital tricks and different things. And probably some color holds in order to establish width. So as you know now, that's not a wheelchair he's sitting in. That's a suit, right? Look at Miles Morales. He looks old. Okay, look at that. A lot of depth there. Okay, so here's Mr. Sinister. Now, just that's I think showing the multiple Davids trying to wreck everything is like foreshadowing to the multiple Sinisters that are now running around trying to wreck everything. And I don't know if you know, with a name like Mr. Sinister, you know he's just a jerk.
This is kind of the crux of the whole thing to understand, like the last part of the comic here. This creature is the starting point of a universal extinction machine, while also quite perfectly a historical container for the genetic remnants of each of its hosts. Basically, as you know, the face huggers and then the xenomorph that comes afterwards are like a combination of the DNA of the host and the xenomorph. You see that in the movies. They kind of take on some of the genetic traits of whatever it is they are birthed out of from. Okay. So what he's saying here is he is got these mutants strapped up inside this prison cell here with all these face huggers on her. He's actually manipulating the face huggers to get him the DNA from all these different mutants. Okay, that's going to come into play later on, believe it or not. It's a smart jerk, right? But anyways, just as he's revealing this thing, he says we have visitors, and here's the remnants of the Avengers coming by. These cool buildings with ribbons wrapping around them. It's a great design. Love it. Pretty cool. While they're off trying to talk to him, the other Sinisters go by with their little weapons. They go to the human colony ship and they start shooting the xenomorphs in everyone's faces. This is going to prepare them for the upcoming final battle here. All right. Oh, I do what I always do. I told you. Name like that. Evil is all you know how to do. Okay, so anyways, it was all an ambush, all set up. Here come the xenomorphs. They start fighting. This is cool. Esad, Ribic kind of stuff. Fighting back to back. Multiple things going on. You have this. You have this. You can read some of the background here. This next page, next couple of pages, you have all kinds of things going. You got Miles Morales in the front, you got Iron Man in the background, and Carol fighting off herself here. Cool stuff, cool. Saw Ribic fighting. These shadows with, this isn't ink lines. Maybe it's marker. I think it's like a textured pencil, or they just the outlines, and they've created these shapes and just filled it in with the texture. I don't know. One day we'll find out. I'll find out when I get to heaven, all right? Carol gets burnt in the face and all is lost. We think we don't see the rest of the fight or the rest of the day. That's fine. There's a twist coming, but it's the mutants. Other mutants that are here on the planet here. We've got Emma Frost in diamond mode, who is not affected at all. Husk, who's protected as well. And Wolverine, who can heal in an instant anyway. They get her out of there. This is Manifold. He's old now, but he's one that's teleporter. They say we're all that's left. You got Husk, Wolverine, Emma Frost, and Manifold. Now Carol Danvers. But she wants to go back in and find out what happened to the other guys. I think she says right here, a week ago, I watched him be brave. Captain America, while I was reduced to being pragmatic. Didn't want to do it anymore. Of course, Wolverine slash guy who plays Thanos right here. That face. That's Josh Brolin, totally. Okay. The next day, the Manifold teleports everybody into the city again for the big battle, right? Sniff around, they see Tony Stark on the floor. He's burst out the chest burster, and they're like all sad. He didn't deserve all this stuff, right? Well, it's not exactly what happened. We'll find out in a second. Okay. Anyways, these ships arrive. It's Wakanda. Yay. Wakanda saves the day again. She's like, yes, Wakanda's here. I think he drew this one, just like the center of the page, and there's nothing over here. And I think he drew this one, and then copied and pasted it and do that one. Like, I wouldn't want to draw it twice. Sorry. And if I had the digital tools, I totally would copy and paste it. I'm not shaming him for that. I'm just saying that's what I think is here. Yeah. So if you go back and forth and you compare these two, I don't think you'll find any difference in them. They got the same, everything is there. If they just knocked this one in the background here, they knocked this one back with some color tricks. Yes. Okay, number 4, the big showdown. All right. This is what happens. This is Sinister's plan. Okay, so he's manipulated the face hugger himself. I don't know exactly what he's doing, but he's set himself up to be this Xenomorph Messiah. Okay, so he's had a chest burster growing inside him the whole time. That's why they've avoided him and haven't killed him, and seem to have a relationship with him because he actually has one of their babies inside of him. Now he's given birth, right? But not to a queen, instead to an alpha male. It's got the sinister diamond on the middle of the forehead. See? Look at that. That is nasty looking. Brody. See, he's like the alpha. Super tall, red. Pretty cool idea, right? Pretty cool idea. Better than those Sith troopers. Alright, so anyways, here's the outside. Look at it like roly-polies. And so they're all fawning over this guy. This is the Sinister symbiote. He can't even talk. There's no vocal cords, but the Sinister's just like, yeah, he's gonna just keep him nice and shiny, etc. But then the thing all of a sudden turns on him. The Sinisters get turned on. They get fight. They get chopped up, eaten, and he's happy. Title card. All right. Let's backtrack a little bit. If you're familiar with Jonathan Hickman's Avengers run, at the end of the Avengers run, the Wakandans stated that they're going to take to space. This is basically 2015-ish current time. They decided we're going to go take to space. They do so. And the all different Marvel, they tried to adapt that. Wakanda in space kind of thing, but no one really paid attention, cared about it. They didn't do much with the storylines, I don't think. I lost interest after issue 1. But anyways, so Hickman taking his own story element here. Wakanda goes into space, and over the centuries, they become an empire. They become like the galactic empire of Wakanda, while Weyland Yutani's doing their separate thing on the side. They're isolated from everybody else, and they're all cool. They used transporter technology, Stargates, I think they called them. And yeah, Stargate construction was a part of it. It became a part of Wakandan society. It helped them get around, helped them manage their empire. Until one day, this guy comes out, and chest bursts out there, and then, whoa, introducing the symbiote threat. Not symbiote threat. The Xenomorph threat to the Wakandan people. Okay. So Afrofuturism going on here. Cool concepts. And here they come. And now they're in the mix here. Okay. So anyways, Wakanda goes on this campaign to eradicate the xenomorphs, and they're trying their hardest to develop all this technology. But they found out later on that their end was engineered, meaning the double-decker bus, that whole introduction of the xenomorph to society didn't exactly. Okay, here's how it goes. So the Davids engineered the xenomorphs to kill all humanity. The double-decker engineer people see this as an infection that they have to go cure now, so they go, and anywhere there's a world that is infected, they do this thing, right? So they drop a micro black hole into the middle of this planet that's infected, and it sucks them up there and destroys the planet, right? And so in maybe ignorantly, T'Challa sees this ship and says, they're the ones that did it. Wakanda has advanced technology. They shoot down the engineer ship. It crash lands. They take a survivor. They interrogate the survivor. They figure out what their idea was to purge this infection. Save what you can, burn the rest, right? And so that becomes Wakanda's philosophy from now on, going forward. We got to fight. We're the ones that are going to fight this infection. We can do it our way. We're not going to destroy planets. But we're just going to have to eradicate this alien life form. So I think the engineers are no longer part of the story anymore. Here's Wakanda. They found an infected planet, and it's Mars. Okay. Maybe they're on their way to Earth or returning from Earth, but they're at Mars now, and they see some of their old compadres there. Tony Stark, etc. They kind of explain it here. Creator and creation driven to destroy each other, trapped in a mad dance that extends beyond the universe, and as it has no clear winner, could extend to all that there is. All right. Okay. Just like in the beginning, hey, there's motion. We have xenomorphs coming in. And so they are. There's Bad Dog Alpha, Sinister Alpha. They start raining down fire, blowing everything up as much as possible, but there's just so many of them. Okay, it goes on, and it goes into crystal mode there. And they're gonna just start fighting. They have this. They're like, "Hey, drop us right on top of Big Red. We're gonna kill Sinister, mutant on mutant." And so they portal jump right on top of him. He sees them. Now, remember I told you that Sinister was manipulating the DNA and all that garbage? Well, this is where it comes into play here. Because he's not just a Big Red Alpha, he also has mutant DNA intertwined, mixed together inside of whatever he was growing inside of his chest, and now he's like every mutant, but also a xenomorph. Right? So he does a BAMF, right? He does the Nightcrawler teleportation right on top of him. Logan goes right through it. BAMF, he moves. Right now they're stuck in the middle of the xenomorphs. And Emma's impervious, Husk is impervious, Logan heals, but he's getting kind of beat up. He's like, I'm going to go after this guy. He sees him reappear. He goes after fighting him, goes to get him again, and then BAMF. Oh, where'd he go? Like, I could have seen that coming. Maybe he thought he was going to get the drop on him. I don't know. But he teleports in the middle of Husk's external shell armor. And then he kills her like the xenomorphs kill people with the mouth. He grabs her right to the back of the neck, breaks out of the husk, and smiles. That's so evil looking. And Logan's like, dang. What's going to happen? What's going to happen, right? All hope is lost. Look, he's making faces at people. But it's time to get it going. Carol's going to go nuclear. She says, I got to burn that guy. We're going to go nuclear. So she burns everybody. After it clears, he's still there though. Why? I didn't know this before, but I guess he has Colossus. He goes Colossus shell on him. So now they're firing on him, and all of a sudden from behind them comes this huge Xenomorph. Is it the guy that bamfed away? No, this is not that red guy. This is a whole different animal, which we're about to find out. Remember how we never saw how the day ended? Tony Stark and Miles Morales? Well, here we go. And those of you guys who are in the know, this kind of black lettering right here, that's totally Venom, right? Watch this. Okay. So this is yesterday. They're fighting. Tony Stark's doing the Tony Stark thing. Not sure what's going to happen. They're fighting. There's a lot of smoke everywhere. Then a Xenomorph tail comes out of nowhere and pierces Tony Stark from behind. Probably through the spinal column, instantly paralyzing him from the chest down. He falls out. He probably has a hole really close to his heart. He says, I'm going to blow everything up. Look out. Here we go. And so Miles Morales gets away, then comes back. Okay. In his dying breath, Tony Stark says, you know what you need to do. And what do you mean? He wasn't talking to you. And then the symbiote says, yes. Okay. And we see that the symbiote, Venom, jumps off of Miles' body and jumps on top of Tony Stark. Remember that he is a venomized face hugger put on top of Tony Stark. Incubate him, and just with the same principle, I guess, that Sinister used. What came out was a venomized Xenomorph now. Okay. So Venom is now, I was probably genetically bonded as a Xenomorph now. Gestated inside of Tony Stark, so who knows? I don't know who's controlling this guy. Maybe it's just Venom. But they go to fight. Venom tackles Big Red. Boom. And they fight. And he bites through his Colossus armor. Then he bamfs. Goes behind him. Punches through him. You think, oh no, it was all for naught. But not really, because it's Venom, right? Venom is a sticky booger. Can't shake him off your hand. All right, so yeah, gets up on his arm. Develops him in. And watch this. Ready? Yeah, boom. Okay. Almost as climactic as Endgame. But he breaks out, breaks free. I like how the armor looks like it's metal. Xenomorph carapace. Breaks through, he wins. And then all the other Xenos stop and have to stare real quick. He does a big yelling, screaming Venom thing, and then they all run away from him. He's the alpha male now. He's the alpha of the species. That's one way to sort things out. Okay. Anyways, that's a happy ending. Kind of happy ending. The problem is all we have here is on this Wakanda ship, this is all that's left of the Avengers now. T'Challa, his son, a venomized symbiote, Wolverine, Manifold, Miles Morales, and Emma Frost. And they look at the four culprits, the alien universe here. The engineers, the humans, the androids, the xenomorphs. They philosophize about it, and then Tony Stark has a message he left behind for everybody. It culminates with, "Avenge me. Avenge me, brother." Okay. That's the end of the book there. So kind of a happy ending, not really, but you know, Marvel, they have so much cool stuff with them now. See, they got the Predator too. Predator. Got the Aliens. Got the Avengers. They have Star Wars now. They can start smashing these together. Like we used to when we were little kids. Star Wars tales I would like to see is Boba Fett and a Predator trapped on a planet, head to head. Who wins? Or just like Darth Dark Troopers, I think it's called Dark Troopers, have a Xenomorph infestation break out on a Star Destroyer. That would be something. In the Clone Wars era. Well, do it, Disney, before I do it. Anyways, that's Aliens versus Avengers. Oh, they have a black and red. Yeah, black, white, and blood. I've got the Alien one. I know there's a Predator one. Everybody versus everybody. It's not going to end. Oh well. It's all fiction anyway, right? Fun. Make it fun. All right, that's it for today. Talk to you later. Check out Star Wars The Dark Hunter. It'll change your life. Thank you.